Hello everybody, welcome to our problem solving session for the English language. I think we had one last week, right, Saturday, and I'm sure we have a lot of new people who've joined us in the last 1 week, and I'm sure everybody is like busy preparing for SSC CGL. Hopefully that's the plan. So a lot of changes have happened, right, in terms of based on your feedback and based on your requests. I'm sure most of you, if you've checked your mail, you know that we've sent you a mail on the changes for the daily test. Some of you came back and said, hey, we want it timed. It's great that we have all these questions daily on all 4. We'll be including general awareness as well shortly. So since you guys asked for that, we also understand how important it is to work with time, right? Time is the only enemy for us during the exam. So we also decided to do that, and hopefully when you take the test starting whenever, even now, you will be timed, right, for each of those tests. So I'm sure most of you know where to go, the link and everything. The path is mentioned in the email as well, so just go through the mail, right? So for those of you who still don't know, all you need to do is go to the practice tests on your Talent Sprint dashboard and the quick links, right? As soon as you go, you have 4 options, right? Subject test, full length test, AIMs, and then you have the daily test. So you click on daily test, it will take you to all the 4 subjects, and then you choose whichever subject and you take the test, right? So that's one thing that we've done based on your quick feedback. Right, let me just address who's here with us this evening. Just give me a minute, I haven't logged in yet. So please let me know if today is your first session. It'll be great to know that. Just give me 1 second. So maybe you guys can say hi to each other while I open this up. Okay, so we have Akash, Pooja, Lakshman, Prasanna, Deepak, Revati, Tixit, Sneka. Who else is there? Tanya is there. Ashish. Okay, you guys have been talking to each other. Ashish, we're having some problems with the Chennai studio. We're just getting it set up, so we're in the process of revamping it. Hold on there, but the first request was to get a lot of one-word substitution. So we're in the process of creating the PDF. It should reach you. I mean, you should have access to it shortly. Kishore, Gayatri is here, Arjun is here, Naveen is here, Revati is here, Vinay, Ekta, Rishika, Nayan, Ajay, John, Arpita, some names that I'm already familiar with, like John and Arpita and Naman. And anybody new, let me know. Okay, so I think the names are just repeating. If I've missed out on anybody, welcome all of you who are here this evening. Mintu, Arjun. Okay. Super. Anuba and Rani and Manish. Yeah, seeing a lot of people after a long time. Eagerly waiting for this. Okay, good. Good to know that you're eagerly waiting for this. Just give me a second. Okay. So, I'm good, Soumya. Thanks for asking. I'm almost healed. My hands, if you look at it. So, yes, Manish. Ashish also said that we are in the process of doing that. We're just getting the right setup here in the studio, so the sessions that we take is of the quality that we want it to be. Yes, congratulations, Soumya. Let me know if anybody's cleared any exams recently. Also share with me what's those of you preparing for SSC, obviously, what's your strategy? I'm hoping you guys have a plan as of now. Yeah, I met with a small accident. They put a speed breaker on a usual route that I take. They didn't ask my permission. They just put it there, and I wasn't prepared, right? I didn't expect it to be there. So I'm not a, what can I say, sturdy person, and my bike also wasn't sturdy, so both of us flew. That's what happened. But this happened almost 2 weeks back, so I'm almost healed, right? I think for those of, I don't think anybody is new today. If you are, let me know, but I'm sure most of us understand why we're here. Obviously, we do discuss questions that are posted in the forum by you guys, but I just wanted to quickly reiterate the fact that your daily tests are timed, so you can practice that as well. In other than the subject, you can also get to practice time management, right, which is another important factor during the time of your exam. Okay, Ajay's second class. Okay, yes. So we will have, in fact, I think we're starting sessions next week, specifically for SSC, right? We'll be doing that. But in the meantime, there are sessions that will be scheduled periodically, continuing to clarify or clear your doubts. So let's get started. Almost 10 minutes is gone. So I'm sure all of you know what you need to do in terms of getting the picture quality clear. Make sure your resolution is in the right quality, HD or whatever. Maybe one of you can post the link. So Mukesh says is my first class. Okay, great, Mukesh. Good that you're having, good that you took time to join. Raikor, I think you don't have to worry about English because SSC, it's pretty, it's like reasoning, right? The difficulty level is not that high for SSC. At least if you look at the past couple of years, the questions are not of a high order difficulty level. So there's nothing to worry about. And I keep saying this, you should be in a position, or you should work towards trying to complete the English section well within 10 to 12 minutes. Yeah. So some more people, first class, Lakshman, welcome. I don't know if I missed out on anybody else. Let me just go back. Okay, Ankita's first class as well. Welcome, Ankita. Good to have you guys here. Somebody said I'm new here. Who's that? Manikant Kumar. Did I get your name right? Manikant? Let me know. But good. Word power books, there are lots, Vinod. The only thing is we need to look at, what can I say? Applying, if you ask me, the best way to register vocabulary is if you repeatedly try and encounter that word, right? Either engage in games or try and use that while you speak and while you write, because otherwise it's going to be extremely difficult for you to register the words. You can take a dictionary, you can go through the meaning, you can make a note of all its different forms, and how it's applied in a context. All of that is great, but if you don't apply or use it, you're not going to remember it by the time you take your exam, right? So vocabulary is a tricky thing. You can expand your vocabulary by reading a lot, but the only way that you can register it is to use it immediately. Yeah, shall we get started with today's session? Let me share the PPT. Okay. Just give me a second. Okay, so this is the first question we have, which is from Kishore. So if you look at it, it's a spot the error question, right? And his query is, he says answer is no error, but I think Amal prefers traveling by bus to traveling by train. Please clear my doubt, ma'am. Anybody wants to give this a try? It's pretty easy. You have a clue word. Is everybody able to see the screen and the question posted by Kishore? If you are in doubt, just fall back on the clue word itself. Anybody can identify the clue word in the context? Correct. So what is the answer, Nayan? Where is the error? Yeah, so everybody is giving me the answer, but what is the clue word in the context? That's my question. That's it, right? Sai, you got it. So prefers is our clue word. So obviously you change then to. That's it. So you don't waste a lot of time here, right? If the answer is given no error, that's incorrect. The clue word for us is prefer. So usually stick to this for the most part. Okay, so let's not kind of, what can I say, have any doubts or confusion, right? Let's move on. Manoja's question, the next question is Manoja's, that's fine. Neeraj, we just started, we just on the second question. So Manoja's question is, ma'am, I have reek and rec have the same meaning, please explain when to use which. Reek and rec may have the same meaning, but it is applicable to different contexts. When I say it's applicable to different contexts, let's quickly look at it. Okay, W-R-E-K and W-R-E-C-K, rec. First of all, pronunciation it's different, right? You pronounce W-R-E-A-K as reek, like R-E-E-K, reek, and this you pronounce it as rec, like deck. Okay, anyways, so reek, you usually, if you have to look at collocations, right? I don't know if you've come across this, wreak havoc, that's a collocation. Wreak havoc. Wreak havoc means you're inflicting some sort of you're wreaking havoc, you're causing a lot of damage to someone, right, or something. So you wreak can means to, you're inflicting some sort of a punishment to another person, right? So that can be one meaning. To inflict punishment, right? To inflict punishment upon someone. Can all of you confirm that you're able to see the screen? Because I just saw one comment saying they're not able to see the screen. I'm assuming everybody else can, right? You can wreak havoc on someone. Or when you're venting your feelings, right? To vent feelings. Like wreaking anger, right? Let's say your boss is very angry and he wreaks anger on you. So to wreak one's anger on someone that reports to you, like let's say subordinates. Right? Now rec on the other hand, like John had given example sentence, right? You can wreck someone's car. That is also causing a lot of wreck. On the other side, it's more to do with, you know, destruction, destroying something, right? Or something that is really worn out, like an old worn out building. Like John said, you know, that car is such a wreck, meaning it's so old, like I don't know when it will break down. That car is such a, I'm sorry I wrote wreck again. That car is such a wreck, right? Or you can call somebody, you can even call, you know, this old man is such a nervous wreck, right? That's also, so this old man is such a nervous wreck. So you see the difference between wreak and wreck. Wreak is more of a verb, right, where you are, there's some action happening, right? It's an action word. You're wreaking havoc, you're venting your feelings. It's an action word. Wreck is more of a noun. You're defining someone, saying what they are. That car is a wreck. A car is a what? Indefinite article, being your clue again, right? It's a noun. That old man is such a nervous wreck. She looks a wreck. So when you're referring to people and calling them a wreck, what you're saying is basically this person is either mentally or physically worn out. You know, so these sort of examples where I've written, you know, that this old man is such a nervous wreck, she looks a wreck. Here you're referring to a person who is physically or mentally worn out. Okay, there's no place here. Let me just write it elsewhere. Okay, so that's pretty much the difference between wreak and wreck. So the main difference is, of course, in the pronunciation, also in the form. Wreak is a verb, wreck is a noun, and then I've given you some example sentences. So if Manuja is here, I hope you understood the difference. So can we move forward? Any questions in this before we move to the next one? Should I take that as a I would say wreck, Manoja. Correct. I would say wreck because we're talking about a total damage, catastrophe. Exact meaning is to inflict punishment upon someone, vent feelings. It can also mean when you're saying somebody is wreaking havoc, which means they are causing damage or distraction. So like Manoja said, yes, one or two contexts it can have the same overlapping meaning, but still in the example that she's given, cyclone wrecked the place. Yeah? Total destruction, catastrophe. Okay, let's move on. Okay. Okay, this is Naga Monika's question. Obviously, when you look at it, you know it's jumble sentence. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sentences. Okay, okay. So there are no following questions, so we'll just get the sequence right and then we'll move forward. So the first thing that we obviously do, for those of you who are new, jumble sentence, I don't know if you've taken the time to go through the videos in the library already. The first thing that we do is we try and identify the topic sentence, right? We try and figure out what the context is talking about. We look for clue words and we pay attention to these conjunctions or pronouns that will kind of help us come up with linking sentences, right? Coordinating or link sentences. So if you look at it, the things that are standing out for me in terms of hint words or clue words is, I'm just going to use a different color. I'm going to use green, okay? And they, however, apart from. See, apart from is a descriptive hint phrase, right? Apart from something, which means there has to be a previous sentence to F, which is also referring to the shrinking confidence, right? So quickly, you need to have eye for detail to spot all this. And who is this they referring to, right? Such a domino effect, which means there has to be a sentence which is describing this domino effect. So hopefully all of you know what a domino effect is. Anybody doesn't know what a domino effect is? What's a domino effect? Anybody? Are you familiar with it? Are you not familiar with it? You have no idea? Nobody? It's like a chain reaction, okay? I was just expecting somebody to answer. It's like a chain reaction, right? For those of you who don't know, right? So it's a chain reaction, which means like one event will set off another event. So you have all these clue words, right? So you need to figure out what are these connecting sentences. So for those of you who don't know what a domino effect is, a domino effect is nothing but a chain reaction. Right? One event sets off a chain of similar events. That's a domino effect. So you need to look for a sentence that is probably making reference to a domino effect. Okay? So now we have all these clues. So let's try and look at example sentences. Right? Can we look at example sentences? Not example sentences. Let's look at connecting links. Tell me now that we've identified all this, tell me which sentence can be clubbed with F, which sentence can be clubbed with D, which sentence can be clubbed with C. So I want a link for C, D and F. So let's see who's going to give me that link. We are just looking at links. Let's not worry about topic sentence. See, this is one way to go about it, right? While you're practicing, you look for these clue words and try and connect the dots. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Okay, Manuja says CF. Oops, sorry, something happened here. Hold on one second. Yeah, here we are. So most of you are saying CF. Yeah, so let's look at that. Anubha says the reason why I'm saying CF is because it makes reference to losing confidence, shrinking confidence. Yes. Yeah, so CF is a link. Okay. So I've put it here, so I'll just bring it here. What else is a link? Only one link you guys have given me. What about D? What will go with D? We've said in D, it says, however, such a domino effect. Raikor, can you just refresh at your end? Anybody else having trouble not being able to see the screen? The question is seen by everybody, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, just to give you a clue, Tanya, good attempt, but the dominoes effect is clearly described in which sentence? Read the sentences. Another clue for you is B starts with a possible answer. Okay. Is there a question anywhere in the context? Is there a question anywhere in the context? So anyway, let's look at it. Sarika has come back with some clues. Exactly. Very good point, Ashish. So in D it says, so why the hysteria, right? B can be a possible answer to that, right? A possible answer could be that the countries. So this domino effect is explained in which sentence? In F. Okay, if you look at F, it says, apart from the shrinking confidence, the biggest fear is that a collapsing Chinese economy would derail others around the world. So because China gets affected, it's going to affect other markets around the world, from emerging markets in Chile and Indonesia to industrial powers such as the United States. So this is the domino effect which is mentioned here, which means F, and then I have to bring D here, right? Let's make that change quickly. So I have this CFD. Obviously it has to follow. Why the hysteria? Answering the question in D is B. A possible answer could be blah blah blah. Very good. So CFDB. So where do we fit in? What is left? I have E. China is exporting something new to the world economy fear. And then I have C, which is here right in front, right? And they, who is it they referring to? Catastrophic means something very devastating, destructive. Global investors, right? Global investors are quaking over the prospect of a devastating slump in the world's second biggest economy. And they are, I think this is not fact, I think this is fast, it's a typo error. And they are fast losing, so this they is referring to the global investors, A. What do we have left? Only E. Sarika. Good. China is exporting something new to the world economy, which is fear. So that's our topic sentence, where the entire thing is talking about if China gets affected, it's going to affect the rest of the countries around it as well. That's the domino effect which is explained in F. So if you look at this question, though it seems very complicated and long, but there are very, very clear logical connects between the sentences. Right? Sorry, not C, E. I have repeated that by mistake. Yeah, this is our sequence. Now let's go back and see if that's correct. So China, so most of the thing is, the context is revolving around China, right? So China is exporting something new to the world economy, which is what? Fear. And global investors are quaking over the prospect. Quaking over means because of that fear. What's the meaning of quaking? Quaking over means what? I mean, just apply context clues and figure out the meaning. To quake over something means what? Something where you're unsure of how it will, you're unsure of the stability of something. They are worried about it, they fear it, right? So just by applying context clues, I mean, let's not get into vocabulary because that's not our concern when it comes to jumbled sentences, but it will help us come up with a sequence. So China is exporting something new to the world economy, fear, and because of that, global investors are quaking over the prospect of a devastating slump in the world's second biggest economy. And they, the global investors, are fast losing confidence that the country's policymakers, seemingly so sure-footed in the past, know how to solve the problem. So apart from the shrinking confidence, making connect to the losing confidence here, the biggest fear is that a collapsing Chinese economy would derail others around the world. That's your domino effect right here. So however, such a domino effect is significant but hardly catastrophic. So why the hysteria? So the reason for the hysteria could possibly be NB. A possible answer could be that the country's troubles raise doubts about whether its policymakers have the tools to keep the economy growing at a healthy place. Again, I think it's healthy pace. Something that has been a constant reassurance for more than 2 decades. That's it. Got it? EAC, FDB. Monica, clear? Anybody has any doubts? Do you want to go back and check, hey, why not? Why can't this be the sequence? Why is this the sequence? So we have clear connects between DB, FD, CF, right? AC and EA. Whoops, sorry. Okay, yes, Monica got it. We're going to move forward. Yeah, this one, I think, see, you also need to understand that most of the time, we are going to get the most complicated ones in the doubt clarification session, right? That's the reason why it is here in the first place, because it is complicated. So let's move on. Reena's question, which form of the verb will go? I'm assuming there's a go here. Okay. Again, I'm going to change my color. I'm just playing with it. Which form of verb will go with did? Example, how did he come or how did he came? How did he come? Right? It's just conversational. We are aware of this. How did you come? How did you arrive? Right? That's pretty conversational. We don't say how did he came. So just like, how did you get here? We don't say how did you got here, right? So it's just basic because of how did you. The sentence construction is in such a way that this is how we say it. Yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. Is Reena here? I think a couple of you answered this question in the forum as well, if I'm not wrong. right? The construction always goes with the base verb and not with the second verb. How did you arrive? Not how did you arrived. Right? You always go with the base verb. Yeah? Okay. So, shall we move forward? Hi Surya Prakash. Oh nice. So, okay. Okay, this is another question by Manoja again, which I believe is taken from, I don't know, this seems like some test. It seems like it's taken from the AIMs. I think most of the questions that you guys posted is taken from the AIMs, which is fine because obviously you've taken the test and you have doubts in those questions, so we can take a look at it. So we know this pattern, right? We just have to figure out which daily test is it. Okay. So in the following questions, a passage is given with a blank space in the beginning. 3 statements are given following the passage. You require to select which of the statements may be the starters, the sentence starters. Let's read. Dash, it is so pleasant a profession that it is not surprising if a vast number of persons adopt it who have no qualification for it. It is exciting and various. Okay, the writer is free to work in what he believes. All right. So the options are I am writer, second I am a writer as I might have been a doctor or a lawyer, and then I was a writer as I might have been a doctor. Fine. Thanks Abhishek. So now if you take a look at this question, the only difference that I see in the 3 statements are the very obvious thing that is staring at us is what? Can somebody tell me what's the difference between 1, 2 and 3? The options that are given here as sentence starters. Can somebody point out what is the difference between 1, 2 and 3? Most of you are coming back and saying 1, 1. So the general context, right? The general context is referring to present tense, right? If you look at it, it is so pleasant a profession that it is not surprising if a vast number of persons adopt it who have no qualification for it. It is exciting and various. The writer is free to work in what he believes. So the entire context is in present tense. Right? So the option that is varying, yes Nilesh, good. The option that is varying is option 3, I was a writer as I might. So you don't need the past tense here. However, 2 is not talking about the past tense, Surya Prakash. If you look at it, it says I am a writer as I might have been a doctor or a lawyer. So what sentence 2 is saying is, I want you to pay attention to correct. I want you to correct Pragim. I want you to pay attention to the phrase that is after the blank. It says, it is so pleasant a profession that it is not surprising if a vast number of persons adopt it who have no qualification for it. I want you to pay attention to this entire sentence, right? Now the reason why option 2 can also be considered is simply because what they are basically saying is, for you to be a writer, you don't need a qualification, right? But it's not the same for other professions. Like for example, I am a writer as I might have been a doctor or a lawyer. In the sense, what is sentence 2 telling us? What is the meaning that sentence 2 is bringing to us? It's saying, even though I am a doctor, I can still be a writer. Even though I am a lawyer, I might have still been a writer. So I want you to pay attention to this entire thing, which is saying a profession that it is not surprising if a vast number of persons adopt it who have no qualification for it. So a doctor can still be a writer, a lawyer can still be a writer, but not the other way. right? A writer has to qualify to become a doctor. A writer has to go through some certification and, right? Might have been is only talking about a possibility. Have been is present perfect tense, right? It's not past tense. Might as a modal is only referring to a probability. It's bringing in a probability there. Are you following? I am a writer as I might have been a doctor or a lawyer. So, yes, option 1 without a doubt, but option 2 also is absolutely fitting in the context. And that's why it's both 1 and 2. I am a writer as I might have been a doctor or a lawyer, and it is so pleasant a profession that it is not surprising if a vast number of persons adopt it who have no qualification for it. Meaning other people, other qualifications can also be a writer, because you don't need a qualification to be a writer. Right? Just a little bit of logic there. So that's probably why, since there's just too much thinking into this, all of you went with the easier option, which is option 1, which is very obvious. That has to be the answer. But option 2 also fits the context logically. Okay? The only thing that is standing out and is not in line with the context is option 3, because it's talking about saying that this person is no longer writer, but the entire context is in present tense. Any doubts? I know most of you came back and said only option A, but it is option D. Shushant, no, don't put me in this dilemma. If you listen to my Hindi, you will cry. I already mentioned, I can only sing in Hindi. Yeah? We'll have somebody specifically describe to you in the forum or something in Hindi. Okay, just for Surya Prakash and Malabika and Surya Prakash and Shushant, just for you guys, I'm going to explain this again, okay? I am a writer as I might have been a doctor or a lawyer. So basically what this sentence is saying is, yeah, Raikor, I'm going again, just for you guys. What is it saying? A doctor or a lawyer can still be a writer, right? A doctor can write stories, a lawyer can write books, whatever, right? But they don't need any qualification to become a writer. The doctor or a lawyer don't need a qualification to become a writer, right? Right? Fantastic. Thank you, Deepak. Babane nahi, banane na. Anyway, maybe it's a typo error. Chalo. Fine. So the context here is telling us a profession that it is not surprising if a vast number of persons adopt it who have no qualification for it. So the second sentence can go. Are you following now? Even if I am a doctor or a lawyer, I can still be a writer. That is what the second sentence is saying. And the succeeding phrase is complementing that. That's why option 2 also is logical. Okay, I want you guys to kind of take time, go through this question, come again and look at it slowly. You will understand. Slowly your eyes of understanding will open and you will follow. Because I don't want to go at the pretext of going over and over and over again. I'll say the same thing in different ways. Yeah, okay. Chalo, let's move on. Okay, one more question from Manoja again. Let's look at it. Sentence starter again. So it says roads are unsafe because of shortcomings in roads and traffic engineer, old and non-standard codes of traffic control devices, poor driver training and assessment, outdated legislations and a poor enforcement system. Okay. So I have three options. Road safety is not a standalone phenomenon. Indian roads are unsafe not due to a single factor. Road safety is a standalone phenomenon. Okay. I don't know if this is a typo error or this is how it is in the question, the third option. I don't know if they intentionally or it could just be a typo error from our guys as well. I think it's a standalone. Okay. The only difference between option 1 and option 2 is option 1 says it's not a standalone, option 3 says it is a standalone. But if you look at the context, we know that there are so many factors that are contributing to road safety being unsafe. One is shortcomings of in roads and traffic engineer, old and non-standard codes of traffic control devices, poor driver training. So there's 1, 2, 3 and assessment, okay, that's 3 again. Outdated legislations, maybe 4, and a poor enforcement system, 5. So there are 5 factors here, obviously, right? Now let's look at it. Road safety is not a standalone phenomenon. Yes, absolutely, because we see that there are so many other factors affecting road safety. Option 1, absolutely. Indian roads are unsafe not due to a single factor. Now, I think in the discussion forum, I remember Manoja saying, but option 2 is talking about Indian roads. Yeah, but we are talking about sentence starters here, right? If I start with this sentence, Indian roads are unsafe due to a single factor, and then I have 5 factors describing it. So option 2 also will go, right? So then it becomes, so then the context becomes about Indian roads because it is a starting sentence, it is a topic sentence. So both 1 and 2, option D, right? So this you can close your eyes and eliminate because it is saying it is a standalone phenomenon, but that's not what the context supports. Standalone means something that is a single entity. But the context is saying, hey boss, if we need to keep our roads safe, these are all the things that are actually the root causes for that. Okay? Clear? Manoja? Can we move forward? Manoja ji, please tell me. Okay, yeah, okay, fine. I'm gonna move forward, okay? Okay, Manoja, fine. They don't need to know, Nirmal. Because this is the start. They're saying which of the statement may be the starter. Can sentence 2 begin the context and still make logical sense? Yes, it can. Because that becomes the context then. Right? The context doesn't have to support the sentence starter. If I start the context with this sentence, does the context make logical sense? That's all. See, Malabika, you have the same doubt as Manoja. Manoja's doubt also is this, but the context is not talking about Indian roads. That is still okay, na? This is a sentence starter. So if I start the context with this as a topic sentence, it will still make logical sense. Then it will make reference to the Indian roads. Are you following? We all know that a topic sentence is the one that introduces what the topic is about. So if I start the sentence with this, it becomes, the context becomes Indian roads. Chalo. Sachindra's question, what is it? Ma'am, how to start English? First, I should go for grammar or directly from single blank, double blank. I mean, order of topic given by Talent Sprint. Okay, now to answer this question, we have come up with a study plan, right? How many of you have gone through it? There's a daily study plan. I think this was also one of the feedback. A lot of you came back and kept asking. we need a daily study plan, right? Now we've given you an ideal study plan in terms of right. So in fact, thank you, Ankit. We are in the process of, I kept telling Ashish as well, we're trying to change some of the strategies because we've also evolved. I've evolved as a trainer over the years. So there are a lot of strategies that I have, kind of acquired. So which is something that we will be translating to the videos. So just be patient with us. So look at this. So I just want you to go through this, right? Go through the daily study plan. This is an ideal plan. You can follow this as a strategy in terms of how to go about it. But I answered this question specifically to 2 people earlier in the discussion forum. If you can type study plan or, how to study, you might get access to that answer. It's a very comprehensive, long answer that I had given in terms of how to go about sequencing because it differs people to, person to person. So if you're somebody who's having problem with, spot the error is your challenge, you have an issue with spot the error, you do need to take time to brush up your basic grammar first before you move to the other categories. See, pretty much the question types are listed out in terms of, fill in the blanks, jumble sentence, vocabulary, reading comprehension. What else? In comprehension, you'll have a lot of things like closed passage and passage completion and anything and everything that involves comprehension, right? So these are all a little, I wouldn't say advanced, I would just say complex in terms of just content, that's it. So if that is the case, depending on what your opportunity area is, you come up with a plan. However, I would suggest you follow the daily study plan. It will give you a holistic picture of how to go about using the available learning resources and learning materials. Are you clear? Now, the only other problem I feel is because there are so many questions packed and the video library is just extensive, so you might get lost. I totally understand that, right? There are a lot of advanced examples, there are a lot of additional questions. In fact, I'll just quickly share some tips because we have some new people. Now in reference material, I keep saying this, right? Just as something as very basic handouts, which I want you to go through, would be grammar rules, preposition meaning and usage, right? And in vocabulary, you have docs, prefixes, suffixes, some common ones we've put down, root words, collocations. So if you are weak in let's say fill in the blanks, right? You need to get yourself thorough with the 4 key concepts under vocabulary. Okay, which will have collocations, root words, context clues, all of that. So I wouldn't, I would say based on your opportunity area, you go that way, right? If spot the error is a concern, finish this first. If fill in the blanks is a concern, finish this first, 4 key concepts under vocabulary, right? Go through reference materials. In spot the error, you have a handout. Spot the error made easy handout. Go through that. It has a lot of, I have broken it down into different error types with examples and practice questions for you. So we have a lot of material, right? But the challenge probably for you guys is to not know how to go about it. So my suggestion is follow the daily study plan, where we've already listed out an ideal plan for you to prepare and study. So stick to that. I mean, you can use that as a base. See, this is something that we have given to you. However, each of you are in different levels of understanding the subject, right? Some of you are really good at something, some of you need some practice. So depending on your knowledge level on whatever topic, depending on the pace in which you will learn, right, you can choose your own, you can customize your strategic plan. Yes, the Hindu is a very, very good source. Yeah, Monica, we are talking about, I mean, collocations is a list again in vocabulary, I said, right? There's a idioms and collocations list which you can go through. We will add to it. We've only collated about 500 or so. There's so many more, like the English language is vast and extensive, right? In SSC, grammar is more important than banks. Yes, if you look at the question types, you'll know, right? You have active, passive voice, you have direct, indirect speech in tier 2, where there are 200 questions. In tier 1, you'll still have pretty much the same things like synonyms, antonyms, spellings, one-word substitutions, idioms and phrases, the same spot the error, reading comprehension, but all of this will be at a slightly lower difficulty level, right, as compared to SBI PO, obviously. So reading comprehension, you'll have like short passages with 5 questions each. So let's not deviate. Okay, let's not deviate. Let's just, so I have just given you some sort of a, plan based on each individual. You choose what works for you based on what your opportunity area is. But if you want Preetham is like, your course is enough, no ma'am. Your course is enough, no ma'am. Yes, that's the idea, for you to have a grip of certain strategies and concepts to answer questions that are posted posed to you in your exam, right? So we've covered all of that. And we will keep adding. In fact, we added a lot of new question types like word usage, the questions that we were surprised with last year, right? Word usage, passage completion, out of context, odd one out, right? All of this was added recently. So as and when we come with, or we are faced with new questions, that will be added to the library periodically. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So Sachindra, stick to the daily study plan that we've suggested, but otherwise if you have specific opportunity areas, then go by that. Shmriti's question. Let's look at this. Okay, I don't want to deviate from the questions that are here. I'm looking at the comments, but then we very specifically want to give priority to those who've taken the time to post their questions in the forum, right? So we'll answer that, and if time permits, I will definitely answer some more questions. So let's look at Priyanka's question. We will have specific sessions for that, Ankit. Don't you worry. Whatever the exam is, we will give importance to that exam in that period of time, right? Now it's SSC, so sessions will start for that next week onwards. Never give up. So Priyanka's, again, this is more to do with, you will apply the same concept as jumble sentences, right? What is the sequence? What can I put? Let's look at it. There has been pressure on employees for increasing profits, and then I have to choose any 1, 2 or 3. I mean, if you look at the options, I have 2 options, and then 5th has B and C or A. Okay, A and B or C. So at any given point of time, it's only Ankita. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Ankita. Yes, I understand that, but I also feel, the only reason is, thank you, Rudra, for that feedback. I really appreciate it. Yes, it is extensive. In fact, a lot of people, what I have observed is a lot of us actually have not gone through the entire material, but still, we just want some quick tips, right? Which is also available in all of our problem solving sessions. If you just spend time going through the last 6 months or even before that, just the problem solving sessions alone, there'll be a lot of concepts that we have covered, because students have specifically come back and asked very complicated questions, right? So anyway, again, coming back to this question here, Shmiti's question, let's quickly look at it. There has been pressure on employees for increasing profits. Of these two, the latter seems to be more appropriate and keeps in well with social objective also. So I have to figure out which ones. Option A says profits can be increased by raising the selling price of products. I think this one we can just easily go ahead and say has to be, because in line with increasing profits being a key phrase, profits can be increased. Option A makes sense. Reducing cost of raw materials is another strategy. So one of it is you can raise the selling price of the products. The other one is you reduce the cost of raw materials, right? That also makes sense. But what about 3? 3 says it can also be achieved by augmenting labor productivity through employee motivation. Now keep in mind, they are referring to there is pressure on employees to increase profits, right? If that is the case, augmenting means what? Increasing. It can also be achieved by augmenting labor productivity through employee motivation. Now for me, if you go to somebody and you say, hey boss, I want more profits. You as an employee, you need to work more and give me the profits that I'm asking. If you ask me actually, yes, A and B can be definitely the options. But if you look at C, it says it can also be achieved. In the first instance, I'll only go with A and B for the most part, because it says you can ask the employees to increase their work and be productive, but they need some sort of motivation as well, right? So logically, if you ask me, yes, I will lean more towards only A and B. However, let me look at the options first. Option 1 says only A and B. Option 2 says only B and C. Option 3 says only A and C. Option 4 says A and B or C. Option 5 says B and C or A. So let me understand option 4 and 5. Option 4 and 5 is basically saying it can either be A and B or A and C. Option 5 is saying it can either be B and C or B and A. Is that what it is? Or I'm getting it wrong? Because that will be very repetitive then, if that's the case. Yeah, that's not what it is. So let me take off this arrow, which is very confusing. Yeah, actually speaking. So do we have an option where it says everything is there? No, I feel all three actually make sense. Surya, just to answer your question, what I feel is, see, you are increasing, basically maybe you are making the employees work more, right? Depends on the industry, depends on what the nature of work is. So the mindset that a lot of people have is the more time you work, you might work towards increasing more profits. Let's take a BPO setup, right? The more customers you call, yeah, the more productive you are. And if you look at it, and if you look at the but it say, oh yeah, pay attention to that. Good point, Malabika. Of these two, this latter seems to be more appropriate and keeps in well with social objective also. So out of these three things, what is inclined more towards social objective? Yeah, John, I noticed that. I don't know, for a question like this, you know, I'd probably skip it because I feel all three kind of makes probable, logical, you know, reasons for me. A and B seem in sequence, and even C kind of seems in sequence. So whichever option that is, do we have all three? No, right? So Priyanka, just to make sure, I would definitely skip this question, no doubt about it. I wouldn't waste a lot of time in this question, because if I apply a little bit of logic, I will say A is for sure, right? Whichever has A, pakka. B also makes sense, right? Because we're keeping in line with social objective. You reduce whatever raw materials can be paper or wood or whatever. So and it can be also achieved by, so when you increase the labor productivity, you kind of motivate the employees, that also kind of makes everybody happy. So I don't know if there is an option which gives me all three. I would definitely skip this question because it's a little confusing for me. Right? Shmriti, what's the answer? It depends on the question, it depends on the nature of work, but we don't have, what do I say, enough information in the context giving us that, right? So if we dig a little deeper, I will lean towards option 1, only because it's a good point, right? It can also be achieved by augmenting labor. If you increase the labor productivity, even if you motivate the employees, it really depends on what nature of business they're doing, what is the industry doing, what are they into. We don't have enough information in the context. So we don't know for sure that if it will increase profits or not. So it could be even 1. I would say for this point, not enough info in the context. Don't you think? We don't know just because if we increase labor productivity, profits will be increased. We don't know that. Anyway, I am skipping this, boss, because I really can't arrive at an answer. If somebody can, I don't know, I mean, there must be a source for this, right? If somebody can do a little bit of research and figure out what's the actual source and see if, you know, what's the real source of this? Is all three mentioned? Is only two mentioned? I have no idea. Yeah, reducing cost of raw materials is another strategy. I also have no idea. So I am going to skip this question, but we'll take this up in the forum. Shmriti, good question. I really don't have an answer to this. It is very confusing for me. If somebody can figure this out, look at the source and come back and answer in the forum, it'll be great. We go through economic policy to get the answer. Okay. I don't know. Even I'll do some research. I'll try and see if I can find the answer to this. But let's not waste a lot of time on this one. Let's move forward. Yeah. So this is in the parking lot. I'm sure you'll remember this question, right? Pressure on employees for increasing profits. It'll be there in the forum. We'll hash it out there. So I'm going to move forward. Shmriti, please. Okay, guys, I'm really, what do I say, touched by all of you, you know, trying to figure this out left, right and center. So whoever gets the answer or the source, please post it in the forum. We'll take it up there. Sagar's question, okay, Sagar here. So I think this was one of the new, I wouldn't say, it's just fill in the blanks, right? Fill in the blanks. I have two sentences. The first sentence has two blanks, the second sentence has one blank. And basically, don't get confused by the directions, okay? It's a very big direction. So I'll break it down for the benefit of everybody else. Let's look at it slowly. Given below are some sentences with a word or two words omitted. Okay, we are clear on that. This has two words, this has one word. Okay. You are given separate directions for each question. Follow the directions and mark the answer accordingly. Two words are in each option. No, Anuva, don't go by the books. I really don't rely on books. Try and find the source of this passage. Like how, you know, in fill in the blanks, if there is a sentence, there will be a source to this, right? Try and find that out. Okay, one word can fill any one of the three blanks while another can fill the remaining two. So what they're saying is, in these three blanks, out of the options, one word can go for all three blanks, okay? Words are not in particular order as per the blanks. So for example, just for us to understand the question, okay? So for example, if I say option 2 is the answer for the first one, they're saying not necessarily that enhance will come in the first blank and benefit will come in the second blank. That's what they're saying, right? Just for us to understand the directions first. Now, we will look at the context and quickly figure this out. India on Wednesday promised an dash environment for Chinese investors and urged them to participate in Make in India. Where is it? And other flagship programs, I think. No, it can't be programmed. Programs of the government to dash bilateral trade. Okay. Now let's, India on Wednesday promised, why are there so many typo errors? Okay, promised a dash environment. I want you to apply collocations quickly. I want you to also identify clue words in the context, right? So promise is definitely a clue word for us. For what? Urging them to participate in these programs. And what are these programs, objective of these programs? Now, most of you have come back and said encouraging. But if you look at the context, they have promised them some sort of an environment which will help promote bilateral trade, right? So the context is talking about India and China. These are the two countries, obviously. Bilateral means what? Something that is affecting two parties. In this context, it's two countries, right? So what sort of an environment is India promising China? And they are saying, boss, they are urging them to participate in this, right? To promote. If I have to use my own words, I'll say, is promising some sort of a, think of words. Okay, favorable. Okay, anything else that will go in the context? Something, always look for the most effective word in the context. See, they are talking about a particular situation, right? They're saying, boss, when you're looking at a promise, which means they are promising them, if you do this, right, the outcome that you're looking for, the outcome will be positive or will be likely to happen, right? That's what they're saying. So if that is the case, I need a word that is giving me that meaning, right? For Chinese, to urge them to participate. This is where the encouragement is coming. They are not they are not providing or they are not promising an encouraging environment. That doesn't make sense. They are promising either a favorable environment or conducive environment, right? That's the collocations. Now out of the collocations, Nayan, very good. The collocation is conducive environment, given the context and given the meaning. What is conducive? If I say something is conducive, I'm saying, boss, this can be the likely outcome. What is the likely outcome? That we will promote bilateral trade between you and us, between India and China. So if that's the case, we already saw that it doesn't have to be in the same sequence, right? So I will say India on Wednesday promised a conducive environment, blah, 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 to boost. I'm just substituting my own word, which is promote. The next closest one is boost. See, for those of you who said favorable, just to quickly give you an insight. So when you say something is favorable, something that you like, right? Like you approve of it because it is in line with what you want. But these guys are saying, they are promising them that the outcome that you're looking for will be positive. This is something that is likely to happen. What is something likely to happen? Trade, bilateral trade between you and us. That is more effective. To boost, to promote, right? Not facilitate, not assist, not benefit, but to promote bilateral trade. That's the objective. Conducive means it's the same thing I just told you. Favorable, one of the collocations of favorable is favorable conditions, right? Not favorable environment. A more effective collocation is favorable conditions. Something that is very beneficial. But if I say something is conducive, I'm talking about that you're trying to make a specific situation happen. In this case, the bilateral trade, that's what they're trying to make happen. Yes, it is. Second one, 2 of the UK's new digital banks are bringing on board celebrities and raising millions of pounds from investors in an attempt to dash, scale and appeal to millennial customers. Again, I want you to apply collocation in an attempt to do something. What is that? What's the right word? Okay. Favorable means approving. Favorable conditions is one collocations I gave you. But on the other hand, if I say something is conducive, you're saying something that is productive, something that is useful, something that is instrumental, right? These are all the synonyms for conducive. Instrumental, oops, I think it's too low there, I'll just write it somewhere here on top. Instrumental, okay. So all these words will go in the context, right? They want it to have an effective result, something that will be useful for both India and China. Now the second one is pretty easy. To boost scale, yes, Anubha. Not to enhance scale, again, just applying collocations. To promote something. When will you use enhance? Think of quickly collocations that go with the word enhance. Boost means augment. You can enhance the value of something, right? You can exalt it, take it to another level. You boost scale, but you don't enhance scale. Okay, let's move on. Clear? Yes, enhance your skills, correct. So you take it to another level, to improve. You improve the quality of something. That's what enhances, right? Let's just write it here. Improve quality. Enhance the value of something. Add to something. Boost, on the other hand, which means you're raising it up, pushing it, uplifting, increasing, all of that is boost. In fact, in some contexts, these two can be even synonyms, but just by going by collocation, boost is a more appropriate word that can be combined with scale instead of enhance. Augment, raise, increase, right? Chalo. There's another one. Let's try and do this as well. It's the same thing. Same concept. let's quickly pay attention to clue words in the context. The first sentence has one blank, the second sentence has one blank, third sentence has one blank. So I'm just going to look at it as single blanks. The government staged a dash disaster scene in order to test the readiness of emergency personnel and procedures. So any words that you probably don't understand. So for question types like this, vocabulary plays a very important role, right? See, for example, feigned means something insincere. You can rule that out. Marched, we know what march is. Denigrated means, anybody? When you say something is feigned, you're talking about like a pretense thing. It's not very clear. Let me change the color. Go with blue. Feigned. Insincere. Okay. The other word is denigrated. Denigrated means to criticize somebody. Okay. I'll put it here. All the other words we know. Imitated, protested, elaborate we know. Responded, sophisticated we know. Retaliated means, anybody doesn't know what retaliated is? Retaliated means is to react. Right? You are fighting back. To fight back. React. Reciprocate. All of that. Strike back. Yeah. Okay, that wasn't too clear. I'll write it here. Strike back. Okay, now that we have a fair idea of what the words are and everything else is, yeah, better if you think, there are just too many words that are affecting, that you're not aware of in terms of meaning, please, you can move forward. So the government staged a dash disaster. So your clue phrase in the first sentence is testing the readiness of emergency personnel and procedures. So if you want to test something, you'll have to make something very extensive, right? And the answer is elaborate. Denigrate means criticize. So the government staged an elaborate disaster scene, right, in order to test the readiness of emergency. So they wanted to put them in a very extensive or, a situation which will really test their ability to do something. So it was very, very elaborate. None of the other options will actually go in the context. What is the meaning of simulated? Why is everybody coming and giving simulated? In the context, can you actually apply simulated? Simulated means what? When I say, again, it has different meanings in different contexts. Simulated means it's more to do with imitation, right? You're imitating either a condition in fact, simulated can also have the meaning of feigned. It's a synonym to that in some contexts. Right? Simulation is an imitation of either a condition or a material when it comes to, if you're talking about in the manufacturing context, that's what it is. So that's an unrelated word here. Kamala Priya, I'll have to agree with you. let's look at the second one. When the Americans placed a tariff on Russian steel coming into the US, the Russians dashed by placing an embargo on American chicken imports. Okay. So embargo is nothing but an official ban. Okay. So this ban can be either banning some sort of an activity, right, with a country or trade or whatever. So when the Americans placed a tariff on Russian steel coming into the US, the Russians did tit for tat. So which option is giving you that answer? Some of you have given me answers. Let me just go back. Sorry, I didn't see the comments. Staged means put up in the context. I just missed out. Put up an elaborate disaster scene, right? What are the questions I missed? I wouldn't say retaliate is really close to taking revenge. It's more of a, you did this to me, so I'm obviously going to react to it, right? It's like you can't be without doing something about that action that you did to me. So you're getting back at someone. So it's not necessarily vengeance or, taking out vengeance, but you're just reacting, you're retaliating. So when you say it's revenge, revenge is a very strong word, Abhishek. Right? So let's look at this. So the second one is definitely retaliation, because you're fighting back, you're reacting, you're striking back, right? This meaning will go here. The second one is retaliated. Third one, as cashless transactions surged, banks wanted to capitalize by levying transaction fees in the range of 0.25% to 1% on card payments, against which petrol pump owners, what do? They could have either retaliated or protested. So we'll have to look at what's the closest one in the context, right? What can be the closest one that can fit in the context? Tariff is nothing but a tax. A tax on whatever, importing or exporting, whatever, right? So Russians are exporting steel into the US. So what the US guys did is they placed a tax on it. The Russians obviously didn't like it. So what they did, they retaliated by placing an official ban on American chicken imports. So when America wanted to send chicken back, they said, no boss, you can't bring this into our place, right? The third one is, again, petrol pump owners, they probably fought back, they probably reacted, they probably strike back. Retaliated can go for the third blank as well. For me, protest is more, what can I say? Whenever I think of protest, I think of a public demonstration of, people just getting into these march. They march with, slogans and carrying hoardings and saying this is what they are protesting about and things like that. So I would lean more towards retaliated for the third one as well instead of protest, though protest also can be you can look at it logically, but in terms of choosing the more effective word, I will go with retaliated. Because for me, a protest is a public demonstration. Oops, sorry. Okay, this is not rubbing. I don't know what happened. Okay, let this be. Public demonstration, you're showing some sort of a disapproval. Revenge is a stronger word, that's what I'm saying, Rudra. No, the first one is elaborate, something very, very on a grand scale to test their readiness. Okay, again, I'm sure questions like this come, most of you will skip and move on because it's more to do with, but please understand that these sort of questions, again, you're applying the same concept as fill in the blanks. You're looking at clue words from the context, trying and figuring out what could be the possible answer. So, but we're going to move forward. I don't think Sagar is here. Whoa, okay. One more jumble sentence. I think there was a question where sorry, look, let me look at the comments. Rudra is saying, how can they take revenge? Retaliation is not the right fit. But I'm saying retaliation is not revenge. Revenge is a much stronger word. When I say somebody is retaliating, which means they are reacting. They are fighting back. They are striking back. They are looking at some action that is happening and they are not okay with it. So they want to react to it. That's retaliation. Why don't you guys find the source? Find the source and get back, okay? Sagar is not here to confirm the answer, so we can thrash it out on the forum. So let's look at the question before us. Again, we have 6 sentences. Let's apply the same strategies that we did for the earlier jumble sentence. I want some of the new guys to kind of probably come up with a sequence. I'll give you about a minute, right? In fact, you should look at completing this less than 30 seconds, but yes. Elaborate, Pragyam. I mean, I am going with that. Nobody is there to confirm it, so if anybody can figure out the source and come back, that will be great. Yeah, I'm sure, Kishore, like not, I mean, even if it, unless, I'm able to apply a little bit of collocations, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on questions like this in the exam. Anyway, looking at this A, B, C, D, E, F. So let's apply our quick clues, right? The country also had to contend with galloping population, means what's is also is a descriptive clue word, which means there's something previous which has been addressed here, right? Don't know what that is. So this endeavor, what is this talking about? These achievements, what achievements are they talking about? So it is more than 6 decades ago that India embarked on the task of transforming. The task has not been an easy one. So there's some sort of a link there, right, at least to start with, right? So can I say EF is a pair probably? A lot of you have come back and said, E is a topic sentence. So we know that if you look at the repeat words, I have education. Again, it's making reference to children in schools, schools. Look at repeat phrases. Education, system of education, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So either ways, we understand that the context is revolving around education, right? A can't be a topic sentence because of the descriptive clue word also. This endeavor, we know, definitely not a topic sentence. One of the most defining moments in this journey, what journey? Can't be the topic sentence. These achievements can't be the topic sentence. The task, referring to the task in E, right? So E has to be a topic sentence. We've established that. And with the clue phrase, the task, we're saying, hey, they embarked. Embarked means they begun this journey, right? They started. It is more than 6 decades ago that India embarked on the task. What was the task? Transforming the elitist system of education inherited from the colonial past into one that is mass-based and built on principles of equality and social justice. So they started this journey, but the task was not an easy one. So why wasn't it not an easy one? What about the task? Right? What about the task? So a couple of you have come back and said EF, but let's move on from there. Can you think of other connecting links? Don't worry about the sequence, just try and pair up certain sentences. This sentence has to go with this sentence. Sorry, somebody asked a question. Sai Kiran says, what is the meaning of elitist system? Where is it? Did I read it? Yes, here it is. So I think elitist comes from the word elite, meaning, people like the cream of the society, right? The top guys who are considered to be very elite. So when you say, these are the elite people, you're talking about the creme of the society, the top guys, who have it all in terms of money and qualification and stuff like that. Anyway, so EF is a link, we've established that. Moving on, what can be the sequence is my question. And if you look at this, there's a link between A and B. Did you notice? The country has also had to contend with galloping population, neutralizing the progress made in getting children to school and ensuring quality education for all. This endeavor of getting children to school, stretched over more than 6 decades, has witnessed several significant policy measures resulting in remarkable progress as reflected in near universal enrollment of children in schools. So, children in schools, that being our clue phrase, we know that A, B is a link, right? What are we left with? And then we have C and D. One of the most defining moments in this journey has been the amendment of the Constitution, making education a fundamental right and adopting the corresponding Right to Education Act by the Indian Parliament in 2009. So, first of all, it was an effort to get children to go to school. Then they made a lot of progress in that, and then what they did? They made education a fundamental right. So D is obviously referring to all of those achievements, right? These achievements probably referring to all the achievements starting from A, B and C have raised new expectations for the future. That's it. This looks like our ideal sequence. Ashish correct, John correct. Because E sets the context, boss. It's telling, boss, we started on this journey of transforming the system of education. But that journey was not a very easy one. Why was it not a very easy one? Because the country contended with galloping population, and then they moved on to neutralizing the progress made in getting children to schools and ensuring quality. So the country went through a lot of changes. Children to school, A-B link, and then one of the most defining moments in this journey was them making education a fundamental right, and then D says these achievements, right? So E, F, A, B, C, D, that has to be our logical sequence. Clear? Any questions? So other all sentences are referring to something like also plus this plus one of the most, these, it. Yes. So those are all your clue words. Yeah, we're going to move forward. What's the time? Okay, we have time. So if you get your sequence right, you will answer all your questions right? What's the sequence again? E, F, A, B, C, D, right? Wasn't this the sequence? Yes. Anubha, correct. So which is the following? Last sentence, D. First sentence, E. Third sentence, A. Second sentence, F. Fifth sentence, C. Khatam. That's it. Whoops. Sorry. Galloping. Okay, Kishore, I want you to apply a little bit of context clues. If I say something is galloping, what comes to your mind? What gallops? Actually, Rudra, you're actually very funny. You should do stand-up comedy. I'm not joking, by the way. You have a great presence of mind. Galloping. Kishore, when you think of galloping, what do you think of? What gallops? What animal will you quickly associate galloping with? Kishore, answer, boss. What will you quickly associate galloping with? Horse, correct, right? So, with galloping population means it's going at that pace, right? If a horse is galloping, it's going at a fast pace. That's when you say a horse gallops. If the horse is just walking slowly, you say a horse trots, T-R-O-T-S. So, I want you to quickly think of words that you can associate with animals, and for that you will have to have extensive knowledge by just reading, right? So if you look at the context, you can quickly, what the context is saying when it says galloping population is basically saying, hey, the population is growing at such an alarming rate. That's what it means in the context, right? At a very fast rate, at a very fast pace. Are you following? So you need to be able to connect words and meanings and link it. Okay, this is our famous Portiero question. What is it? Just as a mother loves her child, similarly Haley loves her dolls. Okay, so quickly, here galloping is used as adjective. Just as. So the best thing to do is quickly, come up with sentences that go with just as. Okay, Sai, yes. Okay, just for Sai, I'll write it here. A horse trots, T-R-O-T-S. A horse gallops, meaning it picks up its pace. I will. I think next week, induction session, I'm only taking. Okay, where are we? So think of sentences that start with just as. Come up with example sentences. So what do you put there, Tiwari, instead of similarly? What goes? So just to put a, let's make a sentence. Just as a horse gallops, so does our population. Okay, this may not be a very effective example sentence, but you get the idea, right? Just as so, that's the construction. Correct. That's also a good point, Sai. So the error is in obviously part 3, you remove this and you put so. Okay. Let's look at some example sentences. Just as okay, just as the again random context, just as the Tamilians like their biryani, okay, so the what can I say, Malayalis like their, what's their favorite dish that they like? I'm trying to figure out. Puttu. Haha. Okay. Okay. You can come up with your own example sentences. Anyway, that's the construction, just as and so. Deepak, for your sentence, you'll have to change the construction. You'll say, no sooner did I turn on the computer, then the class was over, right? So the context that you're trying to bring, the meaning that you're trying to bring is completely different. Puttu kadla. What do I say that is, Amit? It's basically, it's made out of rice. Sometimes it's made out of ragi also, it depends. They use different base materials. Yes, okay Revati, if you say so. But I think if you Google it, it will say puttu only. Anyway, let's move on. My motive behind posting bright advertisements was to catch the boss's mind. So, what's the error? So this is an idiomatic error. So if you're able to identify the idiom, that's it. You've got your answer, right? I think these were all taken from AIMs only. The same AIM, I guess. My motive behind posting bright advertisements was to catch the. What's the idiom here? Quickly, someone. If you paid attention to the test you took last week, catch the bosses. Catch the bosses. No, Nagini. Catch the bosses what? Give me the idiom. That's my question. What is the idiom? Fast, fast. Some of you are saying part 3, some of you are saying part 4. But I already put down the idiom, so it has to be part 4 only. But what is the idiom? Boss is what? Catch someone's. What's the idiom, Deepak and John? My motive behind posting bright advertisements was to catch the bosses. You're giving me a collocation, you're giving me a colloquial phrase. The idiom is catch someone's okay. Got it, Revati. Catch someone's eye. Yes, eye. Good. Catch someone's eye means what? It means, catch someone's eye means to grab someone's attention. Correct. Logically you are correct. But the idiom is catch someone's eye. The collocation is you can grab someone's attention. You can also catch someone's attention. Yeah? So maybe you were looking around the shop to buy a special gift to your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and then suddenly this whatever caught your eye. Okay? So error is in part 4, you change mind to I. If a company pays all its taxes on time, none fines are levied on it, I think. So that's like saying, Mohanty, that's like saying why is no sooner followed by then and why is hardly followed by when. That's how it is, right? There are some constructions that come that way. That's just a rule that we have to learn. So we know that the answer is obviously part 3. Yes, Ashish, you're right. Right? None. And we all know that fines is the noun. Right? If you look at constructions with none, you will never have a noun following none. Let's look at some random examples. That is none of your business. It will mostly be followed by a preposition. Right? None of this seems to deter him or affect him. Maybe you went somewhere to the restaurant and you ordered some new dishes, but none of it you liked, or none of it looked edible. Okay? So if you look at it, mostly it will be followed by a preposition. None other than so and so walked in, right? So obviously it has to be option 3. You can't have a noun following none, and that's where the error is. Okay, so I think all of this was taken from AIMs, if I'm not wrong. Yes. We're talking about taxes, so the right word is, I think it's just a typo error. Oops, sorry. Yeah, that's the word. Correct. You're right, Rudra. It's a typo error, so don't worry about that. Okay, that was it. That was the end of the session, and we are bang on time. Usually it takes what? Yeah, usually we take only this much time, right? Sometimes a little over as well. Okay, so let me just clear this. Give me a second. Yeah, so we're done, and I think it was a pretty extensive session with just somebody mentioned, right? Sagar's questions only drained all our energy. I completely agree. And I also said I'll try and answer his questions in the forum itself, but I think support kind of assisted in just putting his questions, which is fine. It's not an issue. But for those of you who are new, please continue to post questions in the forum and go and search for the questions first, because some of you are repeating questions. And next week, I think we'll have our SSC specific sessions coming in. So that way we should be good. So those of you who have specific questions with respect to SSC, we'll probably take it up next week. And thank you once again. I know it was a pretty long session. We usually try and finish it within 1.5 hours. Yes, sometimes it stretches to 2 hours. But I really want to appreciate you guys taking the time to actively participate, and most importantly also, contribute. Even though it was questions that may not interest you or some complicated questions, you still made an attempt, which is very appreciative, right? That's the way to go, because we should always be prepared to answer all sorts of possible questions, and it definitely expands our vocabulary and learning in general. So thank you for that. And just as so are not collocations, Nagini. I think I answered that. Yeah. So take care, you guys. Sorry about that. I'm getting a call. Okay, so anyway, have a nice weekend. Enjoy, those of you who are celebrating, what is it, Ramzan, right? On Monday. So if you're celebrating that, have a blast, have fun, eat nice biryani. Think of me when you eat the biryani, and I'll see you guys in the next session next week. Yeah. Oh, Gayatri, that's a long story. I'll tell you next week. Okay. Logically is the latest favorite word of madam. I didn't know that, but good observation. I'll take that as a constructive feedback and probably reduce the amount of times I say it. Okay guys, take care, have a nice weekend, long weekend, right? Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Enjoy, bye. No, induction sessions are not cancelled, Sai, it's there, it'll come. Be patient. Chalo, bye.